A Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate production.
Biggest thing we can do is just get stops and run. Stops and run, guys. Push, push, push every time.
Extra session with Kiko Malicdem tackles everything about the world of sports, especially the one close to the host's heart, basketball. Updates, discussion, clarification, name it. Extra session has it. Extra session with Kiko Malicdem.
That's how they're getting the points. Rebound favors battles and gets it away from Bob Mote out the hill for three. Bingo.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 16 of Extra Session with Kiko Malicdem here in Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate Philippines. And today we're very fortunate to have with us. She's a good friend, also a former collegiate volleyball star, and now a PBA courtside reporter, and also handles the PSL games. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Miss Denise Tan. Hi, Denise.
Hello, everybody. Hello, how are you, Kiko? It's so nice to finally be on your show. And to everybody watching the Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, hello to you all. And I hope you all are doing very well, staying at home and staying healthy.
So, Denise, it's been a while since we saw each other personally. Okay. So, how are you doing right now? Especially the sports world took a backseat because of the pandemic.
Well, I'm just trying to keep busy. I know kasi for a fact, I grew up around sports. I'm covering sports right now, and the fact that it's gone, I mean, only very recently did we get football and the NBA back. So I'm just trying to keep my mind and myself preoccupied. So, like, I kid you not, an hour ago I rearranged my room. I rearranged my parents' room because I'm back here helping out. And then the other day, I think I disassembled and I assembled again a 4-door cabinet. So I'm just trying to do everything, literal, just to, not stay in bed all day. Kasi that's the time na parang you lose interest na, you get sucked in like all the TV shows, which is not bad at all. But then you can also turn that spare time into something a little more productive, diba?
Yes, I agree with that. Kasi minsan pag nasa bahay lang, the Netflix stuff, and then the food is, within reach. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I was very guilty of that. I mean, hindi ako nagpapanggap. Very guilty of that ako, especially I think the first month or so. And then nagising ako and I was like, girl, medyo napapasarap ka na dyan. So galaw-galaw. So what I did was I tried working out more. But then I hit a wall, parang na-burn out din ako.
Yeah.
So I've just been trying to really find that balance of moving, being productive, but at the same time, just, trying to relax and give time to myself. Kasi nung time naman na nag-work, yun naman yung hinahanap mo, yung pahinga eh. And now you have all the time. So yeah, just try to balance it all.
Yeah, fortunately for you, because basically in the first month, like you said, you would love to rest. Pero, di ba, as time goes on, sabi, teka, tagal na nito.
Sumasakit na yung likod ko, kakahiga. No joke. Sumasakit na siya.
Yes. Now, let us talk about your journey. Did you ever expect that you would end up a sports reporter and, covering the basketball and volleyball games?
Honestly, not necessarily. I mean, I took up mass comm in college, so obviously that was sort of the route that I saw myself in taking, pero not specifically with sports. Now, I started to realize that I liked it more when I was playing in the UAAP because during yung mga end game interviews, I realized, you know what, it's actually fun to talk about stuff, these kinds of stuff with other people, not just about the game, but of course, sometimes they ask you about things off the court.
Yes.
And, as somebody who's just so used to talking about volleyball all the freaking time, it's such a refresher And when I thought about it, if I was the one watching TV na parang, uy, hindi ko alam yun ah. Kasi sa court ko lang siya nakikita. And that's how
Yeah.
I think it truly developed. My path naman going further into the sports industry, I didn't really imagine covering basketball because for the longest time, I was really focused on volleyball because that's what I
Mhm.
really know.
Yes.
But I was very fortunate nga na syempre nabigyan din ng chance, and then through a lot of mishaps and yung mga charge to experience ba,
Yes.
ganyan.
Exactly.
Medyo madami naman tayong natutunan and mas na bigyan ng iba pang chances to branch out into different sports also.
When when did you realize that being a volleyball player is not your call anymore, and that you'll be doing something else other than volleyball?
Well, to be honest, back in I would say 2008.
Mhm.
2000, because 2008 was when I started my fourth year. Tama ba? 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, fourth
Yes.
year. And then I injured my shoulder kasi.
Mhm.
I think it was December 2008.
Ah,
I injured my shoulder one day after the first game of my fourth playing year. So once you play your first game, that's counted as one whole year. And
mhm.
in my head, there's no professional volleyball league, there's no club league.
Yes.
And I'm like, in, tanggap ko na siya basically before na,
Mm.
this is just something that I'm very passionate about, but then I have to move on. So dun pa lang sa time
Mm.
na yon, tanggap ko na talaga siya. But then, yun nga, when I got injured, I was like, yeah, that's the sign that
Mhm.
was given to you. You're not really looking for it, but that's, ayan na,
Yeah.
the Lord is just handing it to you na hanap ka na ng ibang route mo.
I see. Now, to the people who are looking up to you right now, how was your journey?
Literal?
Yes, figuratively and literally. Now, kasi matangkad ka rin naman no, as a volleyball player. Now, how was your journey to being a sports reporter? Was it an easy one?
I would say that it was a mixture of, a part of it was easy just because I know for a fact that somehow I got more opportunities,
Mhm.
considering the fact that I wouldn't do everything perfectly.
Mhm.
They would give me chances to, you know, again, from volleyball, dinala ko sa basketball, and then like I think 2 years ago they brought me in football, and
Yeah.
then I was covering international sports. Now I know that not everybody would get those chances, and that's the reason why I think it was easier for me to again branch out. But it was hard because there were times that you were just, alam mo yung parang binato ka na lang, and then
Mhm.
dito may apoy, dito may leon, dito parang ang dami mong iniisip,
Mhm.
hindi mo alam yung gagawin mo because you weren't trained for it.
Yes. Mhm.
Parang ganun na at one point you would think na, oh my gosh, this is like failure that's about to happen
Yes.
because you know nothing about what you're doing. And
Mhm.
this is not like college production class na pag hindi mo alam yung gagawin mo, you could just simply go up to your professor and, pwede bang take two?
Yes.
Pwede bang ulit-ulit? Next week na
Mhm.
ako, PA muna. Kasi in
Uh,
our production class, there would be weeks na PA ka or cameraman ka and whatnot.
mm.
And right now, in the real world, you can't really do it, diba? You're only as good as your last job.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it was challenging for me at certain times, but I think medyo cliche, no? Pero without those challenges, hindi ka talaga ma-develop kasi. Yung
Mhm.
mga, pag wala yung mga feeling mo na, shucks, pinahiya ko yung sarili ko on national TV, you're not gonna be mindful eh. You're not gonna be
Yes.
more mindful of your actions the next time. So, yeah.
Ah, how do you review? Siyempre sabi mo, basketball, volleyball, football. How do you prepare for those things? yung sports na ganun. Especially, sanay na sanay ka volleyball. Even with your eyes closed, I know you could handle volleyball, but basketball and football is a different thing. How did you prepare for that?
For basketball, I just basically become somewhat of a stalker. So personally, I try to follow them and build a personal relationship with the players. So I
Mhm.
follow them on every social media platform that they have, whether it
Mm.
be Twitter, Instagram. If we have a better relationship, if talagang parang friends na kami, where we add each other on Facebook, I befriend the kids, the wives, the girlfriends,
Yeah.
the mothers, the relatives, the best friends, because there would be times that that
Mhm.
certain player would not want to talk, and it's totally understandable. They're trying to
Yeah.
focus on the game. Their focus is on winning and not on giving 5 minutes of their precious warm-up time to you,
Mhm.
diba?
Yes.
So that's how I try to do it. I try to um, get a lot of sources, make a lot of
Oh,
sources
yes.
for myself. Kasi before, when I started, it was really like Wikipedia, Google, like the basic stuff. And then, yun nga, through the years, I realized now when you build a certain relationship, not just with the player, but the people around them, wala kang problema. Sometimes, ang tanong ko lang, Oy, kamusta? And they're the ones who are gonna tell you like a story that's not even on Instagram, a story that's not even on their Twitter. So yeah, that's a good thing. Tapos sa football naman, I'm really just baguhan pa eh. So
Uh-uh.
ganun din, I'm trying to just build relationships. Like I talk to them lang before the game, after the game, konting chit chat. I talk to the kids. It's really the family. I tell you, that's the key. Befriend everybody.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. Now, I mean, sa volleyball, 'di ba? Na you became a headliner sa sports when you played for UST in the women's volleyball. How were you discovered sa volleyball sa UST?
Volleyball. UST. Okay, so while I was playing, when I was in my fourth year of high school,
Mm.
so meron kaming mga parang home and away. And
Mhm.
then, one away game, nilapitan ako ng isang referee who apparently was a former national team member as well and used to play for FEU. I think
Okay.
he was maybe 20, probably 15 years my senior. I'm not really sure.
Mhm.
I'm not even gonna mention his name
Yes,
anymore
yes.
kasi baka mali yung edad.
Delikado.
But, delikado, mayari pa ako. But, nilapitan niya ako, sabi niya sa akin. And he would always help me out because he always saw me like try to cool down my shoulder or warm it up before and after the
Mhm.
game. So, tinuturuan niya ako. So, we were friends. And then, one day, sabi niya, halika dito, may papakilala ako sa'yo. And then, pinakilala niya ako to this guy who introduced himself as Coach August Santamaria.
Mhm.
So, August Santamaria is a legend in the men's volleyball world. He used to be a national team member as well. He was a
Mhm.
longtime coach of LaSalle as well, the men's team.
Mhm.
And he simply said, oh, fourth year ka, ganyan-ganyan.
Mhm.
By next year, because this was, I think, August
Mm.
or July of 2004.
Mhm.
Nako, bookingan ng edad. And then he said, by early next year, bisita ka sa akin.
Mhm.
Apparently, that was like a legit invitation because during that time, UST did not accept, they did not have a general tryout.
Mhm.
So they only invited players that they really liked.
Mhm.
So I got his number, and then I think around third week of January or Feb, because di ba mga ganyan, hindi ka na masyadong busy because your schedule
Yes.
is ahead. I
Mm.
texted him and he said, just come on over. And then I started practicing that thrice a week, I think, or twice a week, even before summer started. So yeah, that's how I got started.
I see. Now, women's volleyball is very different right now compared when you were playing. Hindi ka ba
Mm-hmm.
nainggit with the current situation? As like sana ganito noon, ganyan.
There was a time na sabi ko, I wouldn't, to be honest, I
Mm.
don't know how to categorize it eh. Kung
Mhm.
inggit ba siya or what, or if there is another word for it.
Mhm.
But I remember just feeling proud na parang, wow! Like, who would have thought the volleyball games would be played in MOA, in Araneta?
Yes.
When I was playing, I had to wake up at like 8 a.m. Ito pa, before, nung panahon ko, wala pa siyang time slot na let's say 2, 4, and 6, na
Yes.
buong hapon kayo yung pinapalabas. Before, you had to play all day. So may morning games ka. And I remember waking up at around 8 a.m., going to UP. Alam mo yon na
Yeah.
walang crowd, walang tao. The only
Mm.
people that were there were family members or like yung staff or the other teams that were gonna play later that day. But then sobrang tinatao na siya. I think more of na-amaze lang ako. Na-amaze ako. I wouldn't say nainggit ako, but I'm generally just very happy that more players are getting the opportunity dahil alam naman natin how parang volleyball or any sport can turn someone's life around, like total 180.
Mm.
'Di ba? So I'm glad na ganito na siya kalaki ngayon as compared before.
When you became a sports anchor reporter, a lot of people said you should be playing instead of being on the stands.
Mhm.
Was there somehow an itch for you to come back?
There was no itch eh. I think it was because, again, when I was growing up and up
Mm-hmm.
until my last year,
Mm-hmm.
I always knew that there was really no professional league.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was always programmed that after college, I'd start working. And that's the end of
Mm-hmm.
my volleyball journey. So the
Okay.
itch to come back wasn't really there. It wasn't like, yun talagang gusto ko. It's not like, okay, just to compare to basketball, it's not like those players right now in the PBA who grew up watching, like Jaworski or yung
Mm-hmm.
mas bata-bata, like Danny Ai, alam mo yon. Hindi, wala kang wala kang role model na hindi ito, professional level ang habol ko.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have that. Because again, there was no professional league.
Yes.
Pero because I have been talking to some coaches over the last, I would say, 2, 3 years. And some of them would say, alam mo, bata ka pa, kaya mo pa yan. You could
Yeah.
totally go back to training and get back your form. Muscle memory will always be there.
Mm-hmm.
Kaya lang nahihiya ako. Hindi
Okay.
ako nahihiyang pumalpak because of the fans. Because, of course, somebody out there will always have something to say. At hindi yun yung
Mm-hmm.
kinakatakot ko. Nahihiya ako kasi they're going to be investing in me, if ever.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about management, the coaches, my teammates, and we would have to all work together. At trabaho talaga siya,
Yes.
especially in my position. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have to dedicate at least, sabi ko noon, at least mga 6 months of continuous, everyday, focused training.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not afford that.
I see.
Literal, mauubusan ako ng pera dahil hindi ako sa sweldo
Yes.
sa trabaho ko.
Mm-hmm. Now, which is more satisfying for you? To be in the court or to be in the announcer's booth?
I think it's more satisfying to be behind the scenes. Yun nga, behind the booth. Not just with volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, again, I have managed to talk and interact with a lot of
Mm-hmm.
athletes. And, it's amazing kasi I was very fortunate growing up. I had, the support and the assistance, not just yung moral support, but the financial support as well from my family, from my alma mater. And you get to know stories of these individuals, these athletes na mas grabe pa yung pinagdaanan. And for you, or for myself, to actually be able to share that with other people na, alam mo, like one example, let's say, kunyari, this person, hindi naman yan, hindi naman yan magaling or whatnot. Bakit hindi pa full yung galaw niya? But
Yes.
nobody knew that he just broke his knee 8 months ago, and this is what he had to go through just to be here.
Yeah.
Tipong, I mean, those kinds of
Yes.
stories na medyo papamulat mo yung mata ng
Yes.
ibang tao. And I think that's more satisfying para sa akin.
What was your reaction, or what is your reaction, for example, may mga volleyball fans, they approach you and they recognize you as a former volleyball star instead of the reporter? Ano ba yung feeling mo nun?
Nahihiya ako. Nahihiya ako, to be honest. Kahit nung bata pa ako. Kasi again, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was my first year. Yeah, I think it was my first year na first time kinover ang UAP.
Yes.
So, hindi ako sanay that people would come up to me na, hey, Denise, pa-picture, ganyan. Hindi ako sanay at all. So, it just stuck with me na yung hahawakan ka, tapos biglang, Denise, hahatakin ka. Ay, hello po, ganyan. And up until now, pag may nagpapa-picture sa akin, and they would say, fan mo ko sa UST, ay, salamat po. Ang tagal na po nun. Ang tagal-tagal na po nun.
Yes,
Maraming salamat po. Oo, nahihiya pa din ako. Totoo lang. Sobrang hiyang-hiya pa din ako. And I don't know.
Now, our volleyball world is currently on the rise. The team, diba? Yung women's. But our national team is still experiencing some pains, international competition. Sa volleyball in generally sa Philippines, talagang paakyat na. Pero yung national team natin medyo, sabihin natin, hindi pa lume-level up. What do you think our volleyball team needs to be able to compete and finish in the podium?
Two things. I think number one is when you compare collegiate teams or even pro or club teams here in the Philippines as compared to the national team, they normally stick to the same lineup. The same coaching staff, the same lineup, and they really try to build the program and build a team that they could like use over at least a few conferences or the next coming years. So the development will really be there. It might be slow, but you will see it.
Yes.
And that's not the case for the national team. Number two, I think there is definitely a lack of, the grassroots program in the country. So when you look at the development of, some players na siguro pwedeng i-pull out na nasa Visayas or nasa Mindanao that we could eventually tap, they remain undiscovered.
Yes.
Diba? Kasi wala tayong masyadong programa eh. Let's face it, we don't even send our national team to a lot of international competitions. We do sometimes when it's near like a major event, but it doesn't happen a lot. And I always say this, whether on cam or off cam, that it's really the international experience that will level up your game. Diba?
Yes.
Kasi, I mean, if you stay in the same pool of teams, na kayo lang naglalaban, let's say in 5 years, pwedeng magkaroon ng konting shift kung sino yung nasa top 2 or 3. Pero hindi mo makikita yung yung palo ng angat. Now, kung binigyan mo to ng international experience at dun sila mapukpok ng mapukpok and they actually see how things should be done, then that's where they adjust. And sometimes nga, you know what? It's subconscious eh. Like I'll give you an example. I think back in 2007, we went to this international competition, and we were also playing here. Pwede ko ba sabihin yung liga?
Yeah, sige, sige.
Kahit
Sure.
may sponsor.
Oo, okay lang yan.
Ah,
Walang
so
problema.
so we were also playing pa sa Shakey's V League. And then we
Mhm.
went abroad nun for an international competition.
Mhm.
And then, so we were playing, I think we were there for around 2 weeks. Tapos pag uwi namin, we were watching this game. We were waiting for our game. So 2 weeks has passed. We were back there in San Juan Arena. We were waiting for our game. And the game before us were two teams who were known for their defense.
Okay.
And while we were watching, lahat kami, I kid you not, Kiko, we're like, bakit, bakit ganon? Bakit ang bagal nila? Bakit ganito?
Oo.
Bakit ganyan? Well, like, what's happening?
Oo.
And unconsciously, during those 2 weeks, sobrang nasanay na kami sa mas mabilis na galaw, mas tamang technique, mas tamang paraan of doing things, that we were actually critiquing one of the, two of the best teams known for their defense. And it's not like we were known for our defense.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we were not a defensive team at all, especially on the floor. But it was like we were looking at them kind of on slow-mo. And this is not an exaggeration, ah.
Yes,
But
yes.
that's what I'm talking about.
Mm.
Diba? Kapag hindi mo na-experience yon
Mhm.
from other countries, yung kung gaano sila kalayo sa level natin ngayon, hindi, our eyes are never gonna open up, and we're never gonna be able to be at par with that kind of play.
Yes.
Yun.
Okay. Now, if somebody asked you what is the key to your success, what would you tell them?
Wow.
Yeah.
Key to my success is, wow, wait. Let me think here. I think the key to my success would definitely be knowing that I could do more and I should do more. I remember talking to one of my colleagues, a very close friend of mine as well, and he was telling me that a few years back, him and some of the producers were saying, sayang si Denise, ayaw mag-try ng iba. Puro volleyball. And then I remember, one of the producers also saying before, this was back in 2014,
Yeah.
when I was just starting out.
Mhm.
And they were like, oh, kaya mo bang mag-PBA? And I distinctly remember my answer because I immediately regretted it after.
Mhm.
My answer was, Direk, wala kasi ako masyadong alam dyan eh. Wala akong idea. Pero pwede ko namang i-explore.
Oo.
Pero ngayon kasi wala ko idea eh. And immediately after saying it, I was like, no, why did you say that? You should have just gone with it. 'Di ba? But before kasi my thinking was, hindi, okay lang. Okay naman ako sa volleyball. Okay na ako dito.
Mhm.
But when you realize na you can do so much more, and you could just have the courage to do it, that's eventually, parang you will eventually push yourself harder. Kasi na-relax ako masyado. Pero nung umano na ako, nung nagising na ako na parang, teka lang, gumawa ka na ng iba.
Yeah.
Because you cannot stay there like for the longest time. Ang daming po pang pwedeng gawin. And nagulat na lang ako na, yun nga, when I started doing basketball, eventually, nadagdagan yung projects, and then I got sent to like different sporting events, ganyan.
I see. Now, what is the hardest thing being a courtside reporter or a sports anchor?
Hardest thing? You mean like a reporter, ganon?
Yes. What's the hardest part?
I think, let's say, as a reporter, would be, I wouldn't say hard. Nahiya ako bigla sabihin. I would say it's kind of frustrating or annoying even if because I've had experiences kasi na gusto mong kausapin, magpapaalam ka na kakausapin mo.
Mhm.
And again, I used to play, so I understand the importance of warming up and all that. Tapos papaintayin ka.
Mm.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Their warm-ups is their priority. Their meetings, their pre-game talk is the priority for the athlete. Pero ikaw, and they're doing their job, but you are also doing your job. So kung ayaw mo akong kausapin, please just tell me. There's no reason to sugarcoat it. I would
Yeah.
understand. But
Mhm.
there were times na napag-intay na ako like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And I would go back and forth naman. Like, I wouldn't stand there for 30 minutes. Pero
Mm.
yung hassle lang of, lipat ka dito, lipat ka doon, lipat ka dito, lipat ka doon. And that's part of the job. I get it. But I think one of the hardest parts or challenging parts is the culture of people not being straight with you.
Mm.
Yung ayaw mo pa sabihin eh. 'Di ba? Okay
Yes.
lang naman. 'Di
Mhm.
ba? Wala namang problema. Kung hindi ka talaga pwede o baka hindi mo ako masyadong type, okay
Oo.
lang, 'di ba? 'Di ba? Friend ko
Yeah.
naman yung wife mo, tsaka yung girlfriend mo, tsaka yung anak mo, di doon naman ako kukuha ng storya, 'di ba? O,
Yes.
yun
Now,
lang naman.
were there any players who tried to hit on you? Walang no names to be mentioned pero feel mo, oh, he's trying to hit on me.
They tried, but I don't think they ever
Succeeded.
really. It's not that I don't think na parang it's not that they succeeded.
Mm.
I think parang kumbaga sa level 1, paano ba? Parang
Disappointed.
yeah, parang opener pa lang kasi nila. Alam, nakatunog na ako. So they wouldn't really go for it.
Yes.
Parang ganon. Kasi I grew up with boys, Kiko eh. I have a brother,
Mhm.
my dad has brothers, all of my cousins are boys.
Wow.
So sanay na sanay, like my whole father's side is puro lalaki. So ako, sanay na ako sa, may nagsasalitang mga lalaki, tapos may mga nangungulit, yung the boy talk.
Oh.
Alam ko na yan. So, yeah.
Could you share an embarrassing moment while doing the courtside reporting? And also, how about yung time na naglalaro ka?
Oh, courtside reporting.
Sige.
So, when I was starting out, I think with Shakey's V-League.
Okay.
Kasi nag-internship ako sa kanila. Tapos, so what I did was I did courtside reporting and then, syempre kabado ka, first time mo, di ba? Tapos live ka. Nakakakaba talaga. Tapos, alam mo yung nakakakabang part kasi, yung standby, yung
Mhm.
hawak, may props ako. Yung may hawak kang mic na ganon.
Yes.
Tapos hindi mo alam kung kailan ka ba bubuelo? Hello, alam mo yon, may buwelo.
Yes.
So I was looking at the teams and I had this whole spiel in my head na how to, like, for my intro.
Yes.
And I was like, helping, ganyan, sail that boat to victory is blah, 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 blah. Let's say the game between UP and LaSalle. I totally forgot who was playing. Yeah, I was like, and as in matagal, like, UP and I looked at my FD, tas yung FD ko, tumingin din. So, tumingin siya, tumingin na lang din ako. Kasi she doesn't know eh.
Yeah.
So, pag natapos na, kasi sulat niya pa yun eh, di ba?
Yeah.
So, tinignan ko na lang din. I was like, LaSalle. And then after that, I was like, write it down, write it down, write it down. Have somebody tape it at the bottom of the camera. Like, huwag ka nang mahiya. Mga ganyan.
Wow, that's
So,
really funny.
buti na hindi pa masyadong sikat yung volleyball nun. Wala pa masyadong nakakita.
How about yung naglalaro ka? Ano yung naalala mong, ay, oh shoot, nahiya ako pag naalala ko.
habang naglalaro, parang wala
Mm.
naman
Mm.
because to be totally honest,
Mm.
I've learned kahit na bago kami sa TV experience noon,
Mhm.
we really knew how to shut people out.
Mhm.
Kasi when I was in college, yung training schedule namin is
Mhm.
normally labasan ng pasok. So
Mhm.
madaming pupunta sa gym. So dun pa lang, sanay ka na hindi mo sila papansinin. Because of course you can't. I mean, you're running after the ball. You can't just, hi, hello po. I mean, you can be friendly to them, but I mean, you have to be focused kasi with what's
Mm.
happening inside the
Yeah.
court. So I didn't really care
Mhm.
about the like anything when I was playing. I was just playing, parang ganon.
Yes. Now, eto may bago tayo magtapos, we'll be giving you a rapid test. So, total uso ng
Okay.
rapid test eh. Just just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind when
All
I
right.
give you this question. Who do you think is the best, or who do you think is the current best volleyball player in the country?
Jaja Santiago.
Okay, who do you think is the best coach for the women's national team?
I honestly
Mhm.
do not know how to answer that.
Okay. Now, who do you think is the best team in the PSL right now?
Right now,
Mhm.
I think it would be between F2
Mhm.
and Signal.
Okay. Best player in the PSL.
Jaja Santiago.
Best coach in the PSL.
Ramil De Jesus.
Sino sa tingin mo ang naging rival mo sa volleyball during your playing years?
Rival and like a position.
Rivals in terms of popularity, and then
Rival, ginawa ng mga tao, Dakis, Rachel Ann, Dakis.
how's your relationship
Oo.
pala with Rachel?
Oh, we're very good friends up until
Mhm.
now.
Yes, that's
Mm-mm.
good to hear. Single or in a relationship?
In a relationship.
Okay. Uh, related to sports or
No, no, no.
nah, okay. Now, in the PBA, the nicest player to talk to or my interview.
Ma- I like talking to Mike De Gregorio. He has a
Mhm.
lot of things to say all the time.
Mhm.
I like Poy Aram as well because he normally talks about not just basketball but personal things happening. So meron tayong human stories doon. Um, I like talking to the coaches as well, even the ball
Mhm.
boys. So a lot of people.
Now, memorable moment as a volleyball player.
Memorable moment. Championship 2006 season 69. Oh, 2007.
Memorable positive moment as a reporter.
Memorable moment as a reporter.
Mm.
All of my gold medal interviews in the SEA Games.
Okay. The best team to cover in the PBA.
Ginebra.
What was the moment that you felt you belong to the older generation of volleyball stars?
Simula na uso ang simula pumatok ang Instagram.
So, any message to your fans, supporters, and loved ones?
I just wanna tell you all na maraming salamat po for joining me and Kiko here at the Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate. Sana next episode naka-tune in pa din kayo. And I wanna tell all the volleyball fans as well, nakapit lang po. We are hoping na magsisimula na ang PSL very soon. And not just volleyball, pero syempre yung mga ibang leagues din natin here in the Philippines. I know everybody's clamoring for sports right now,
Yeah.
but it's more important to stay healthy. And while we're on that topic, I always want to stress out that more than trying to be physically fit, please make sure that you are mentally okay as well. These are trying times. It is okay to ask for help. It is okay to feel down. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. If you need someone to talk to, just call your friend, call your loved one, and that's it. So stay safe, stay healthy, at kapit lang ulit. Kaya natin to.
And of course, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another episode of Extra Session with Kiko Malicdem. I would like to say thank you to our guest, Miss Denise Tan. I know you have a lot of things to do, but you shared your time with us. So, in behalf of the Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, games are always
You enjoyed
exciting
this episode,
when there are
be
always
sure to
extra
subscribe
sessions.
so you're notified when a new episode is posted in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or via RSS. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And if you want to know more, check out www.guerrillapodcast.com.au or guerrillapodcast.com.ph. A Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate production.